just watched the Indiana Fever completely and totally dominate the Seattle Storm all throughout this game. We got to give it up mainly to Odyssey Sims, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell of the Indiana Fever. They did their thing. They showed up and showed out, okay? Now, when it comes to the Seattle Storm, I'm so intrigued. I'm so shocked and amazed at how terrible they are. Like, on one hand, they are good, right? They're good enough. I think they're in playoff contention, I believe. They're in the top 8 for sure. For sure. But I believe with this game ending the way that it did, okay, Fever blew them out by 20 points. It was 75 to 95 points. Fever wins. I think that would they, should they be the Indiana Fever that is? Aren't they now the 6th seed in the playoffs contention? Right, the 6th seed, in the WNBA power rankings, because at first they slipped down to number 8. Okay, they were the 8th seed in the league, but with this one, I believe they did just creep up to number 6 seed, and I believe the Seattle Storm has just fallen to the 8th seed spot. I may have to read up on this after this, but guys, I fear for Coach Noelle's job. Okay, Coach Noelle Quinn, guys, if you don't know, she is the head coach of the Seattle Storm. In my opinion, watching how they did some dishes today in today's game and just throughout this season, she has too much talent on her roster for them to be getting did like this. Again, Coach Noelle Quinn of the Seattle Storm, she has a lot of talented players, okay, a lot of talented women on her roster. But for whatever reasons, they just are not, they don't perform how you would think they would perform. She has Dominique Malonga. She has Gabby Williams. She has Nneka Ogwumike. Well, she had Jordan Horson. Unfortunately, she tore her ACL, right? So she wasn't able to participate in this season. But she has so many, good dominant figures. And the way that they just be getting did, it just doesn't make any sense. So again, I really am in fear of Coach Noelle Quinn's job. I don't want it to happen, but at this point, it's like she's fumbling these games. Okay, she's not being that leader, that coach that they need. People even said, on that Sue Bird's podcast. Again, shout out to Sue Bird. She got her her statue, her statue, rather, up there in Seattle in her honor. Her along with on her podcast, her along with Breanna Stewart, when they were both on the Seattle Storm underneath Coach Noelle Quinn, they both said in so many words, in so many ways, that they both regressed as players underneath her leadership. So again, Coach Noelle Quinn, in my opinion, she needs to get it together. Again, Fever was dominating the Seattle Storm all throughout this game, because in the first quarter, the Seattle Storm had 20 points. Fever scored 26. The second quarter comes around, the Seattle Storm scored 19, Fever scores 24. The third quarter comes around, Seattle Storm scores 17 points, Fever scored 24. And in the fourth and final quarter, that's when the Seattle Storm tried to get it together. It was too late. They put up 19 points, Fever put up 21 points. Now let's break down the individual player statistics, starting with the Seattle Storm. Nneka Ogwumike had 17 points, 0 assists, 2 rebounds. Gabby Williams only had 2 points. She was struggling. 1 assist, 1 rebound. Ezzie McMcGraw had 8 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. Brittany Sykes had 12 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Skylar Diggins only had 6 points, 8 assists, 1 rebound. The freaking Fever had amazingly good defense in today's game. Dominique Malonga had 8 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds. Erica Wheeler only had 6 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds. Tiffany Mitchell had 5 points, 0 assists, 1 rebound. Lexi Brown had 2 points, 3 assists, 0 rebounds. Mackenzie Holmes had 4 points, 0 assists, 1 rebound. And Zaya Cook had 5 points, 1 assist, and 1 rebound. Now let's talk about the Indiana Fever. Okay, the winners of today's game. Lexi Hall, again, in the first quarter, Lexi Hall and Gabby Williams kind of collided. And we saw Lexi Hall leave and get she was walked out to the locker room. We saw Gabby Williams kind of sit down on the bench a little bit, and then she came back into the game. Thankfully, everything was all right with both of them. We saw them both make a reappearance in today's game. At first, I thought Lexi Hall was going to have some sort of concussion protocol, because her and Gabby Williams collided and they both just smacked the court. But they both made the reappearance in the game. So Lexi Hall had 5 points, 1 assist, 9 rebounds. Natasha Howard had 6 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Aaliyah Boston had 27 points, 3 assists, 9 rebounds. Kelsey Mitchell had 21 points, 2 assists, 0 rebounds. Odyssey Sims had 22 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. Ariel Powers had 2 points, 1 assist, 9 rebounds. Ariel Powers needs to do better. Brianna Turner had 4 points, 1 assist, 4 rebounds. Shea Petty had 2 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound. Damaris Dantas had 4 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. And Michaela Timpson had 2 points, 0 assists, and 0 rebounds. Again, Seattle Storm is currently the 6th seed. Okay, they have 20 wins, 18 losses. But the Indiana Fever just beat them. So that would have Indiana Fever now have 20 wins and 18 losses. So yeah, at this point, if I'm looking at this correctly, Seattle Storm and Golden State Valkyries are now the bottom 7th and 8th team. Okay, Seattle Storm just got knocked back to the 8th seed spot, and now Indiana Fever, they're creeping on to come up. They should be now the number 6 seed. Again, this game was all right, okay, but it was like a snooze fest because, again, the Seattle Storm, they was getting worked. I knew from the first quarter the Indiana Fever really wanted this. They wanted to prove something to themselves. They stood up, stood tall, okay, and defeated the Seattle Storm. Again, the Seattle Storm, they have a lot of, like, talent, but it seems as though, like, there's something wrong with the coaching staff, like my Chicago Sky. Of course, I got to throw them in there. Hopefully, Coach Noelle Quinn gets it together. She's the last black woman standing as a coach, but we shall see.